Rabindranath visited Italy in 1926 at Mussolini's invitation. Mussolini's main motive behind the invitation was to garner Rabindranath's support for his fascist regime. This trip of Tagore drew criticism as it was reported in the Italian press that Tagore had lavished praises on Mussolini and his fascist government. What really happened? During Tagore's 1925 tour of Italy, he met many prominent people and had open discussions, although fascist surveillance had already begun. But in 1926, the fascist shadow thickened in Italy. This time, the Duke of Milan, Galleratti Scotti, and other dignitaries could have only formal meetings with Tagore, but just 1 year ago, in 1925, the picture was, to a large extent, different. Duke Scotti played an important role in making an itinerary for Rabindranath and escorted him to various meetings, assemblies, and conferences. This time, Mussolini's surveillance of Tagore already started when Tagore was staying at Hotel Cavour. Mussolini kept a keen watch on Tagore to know how intimate he was with the intellectuals who were unwilling to bow down before fascism. Mussolini particularly targeted Duke Scotti. When Rabindranath was in Turin, Scotti sent one of his relatives, who was king's sister, to Rabindranath, who delivered to him many written documents and letters of fascist torture to intellectuals. She also narrated in detail how their own family had been going through sufferings under the fascist regime. Mussolini gave the responsibility of this trip of Tagore to Carlo Formicki, who had already served Vishwabharati as a visiting professor a short while ago. He was a Sanskrit scholar and Indologist. In 1925, he played a positive role to make Tagore's visit a grand success. But now he was Mussolini's man. His strict surveillance spread everywhere. Meanwhile, the work of fascist propaganda, by distorting Rabindranath's opinions, statements, and printing them in state-sponsored newspapers, was going on in full swing. Rabindranath, the poet's son, and Prashanta Chandra Mahalanobis doubted that things were not going in the right direction, but as they did not know Italian, they had limitations. Andre Carpelle, their friend, knew Italian. She informed them that their suspicion was correct. An Austrian lady who knew Italian and English quite well was hired to translate newspaper reports. It turned out that she was a well-known international spy who was on Mussolini's payroll. Rabindranath wanted to meet the famous philosopher Benedetto Croce to get a better and correct understanding of the political situation in Italy. At first, Rabindranath asked Mussolini if he could arrange the meeting. Mussolini instructed Professor Formicki to arrange the meeting. But the big question was whether Rabindranath would be able to talk to Croce freely in the presence of Mussolini's men. It was obvious that Formicki would not allow one-to-one meeting between the two great thinkers because then the true nature of the fascist regime would be revealed. But after many complications, the date and time of the meeting was fixed, keeping Formicki in the dark. Then there arose another big question: how to avoid the surveillance of Mussolini's agents. Here came a young army officer who owed his allegiance to the king. He knew Croce well. He assured Tagore that he would bring Croce to him without anyone's knowledge. It so happened as planned meticulously. On the appointed day, the officer flew to Naples and brought Croce the next morning at 5 o'clock before anyone woke up to the Grand Hotel where Tagore was staying. Rabindranath had a very long discussion with the grand old man of Italy in his room. Rabindranath stood guard in the corridor. When Professor Formicki turned up, the two great thinkers were sitting at breakfast. On hearing from Rabindranath that it was Croce who had been closeted with Tagore in the hotel room, Formicki was extremely agitated. In the words of Rabindranath, It was amusing to witness the tearing of hair and gnashing of teeth that followed. Tagore soon reached Switzerland from Italy and unmasked the fascist face of Mussolini.